my partner in crime on our theatre tour is Bianca Westwood. Lulu's her favourite, her absolute favourite. And, I know that she particularly enjoyed it when Lulu duetted with Rod Stewart at Glastonbury. And that. So Bianca, if you're awake yet, that's especially for you. She's not a fan of Lulu. I suggested we should go because Lulu was doing the same sort of thing in London. An evening with Lulu, conversation and music and things. And I suggested that would take Bianca. I think she left the country. Brilliant. Just one quick text here. Muteen says, I think Robbie Keane's next job should be Celtic. Get some Champions League experience and after a few years be the successor to Arnie Slot. So there we go. Oh, and one more quick one. Mark texted a few weeks ago. He said, hi, Jeff and Ali. You might remember mentioning our little annual football mystery road trips. Basically, the first team to score that comes up on the video print at 3 o'clock kickoffs on Soccer Saturday. That's where the little party, 4 of them, go to the first game of the season. Well, there are only 3 survivors now. He said, first to score on Saturday were Hibs. But amazingly, we've been there before. One of our few rules is not to return to where we've been, so it rolled on. And next up, we were treated to Burton Albion. So it's off to Burton we go, home of brewing. Mark, I have to say, fix is the word that comes to mind here, very much. Look, let's take a look at today's back page of the Tesco Mobile for Business, shall we?
The Back Page Review on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. Got a side hustle baking bread? Improve your take-home dough with business phone bills for up to 40% less than the big 3 networks. For verification, see tescomobile.com/business.
And Olivia's back with us. Hi, Olivia.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm
well,
good, but,
very well, thank you.
Probably not as good as you. I'm sure you're going to talk Chelsea, are you?
I'm not. Do you know,
No.
I'm not, Jeff, I'm not even going to bother because I think we all knew what was going to happen at the Tottenham Hotspurs. It always does. I'm sorry, it does. Chelsea are the team that have won the most there, and I don't think Chelsea really needed to get out of second gear, but that is not what's dominating the back pages this morning, and it is all Erling Haaland. But we are going to talk about Erling Haaland a little bit later on rather than right now, because right now, also on the back page of the Mirror, is you mentioned it there about Robbie Keane being linked to Celtic. Brendan Rodgers, the former Celtic manager, has been linked to the Wolves job.
Yeah, we just touched on that. Why would he want a relegation on his CV? And I'm not having a go, Wolves fans, but Coist, you don't really see it happening. I don't really see it happening either.
I mean, you'd never rule it out, obviously, but it just doesn't seem. It doesn't seem a perfect fit for either. I don't think, to be brutally honest with you. I know they had a brilliant result at the weekend here. I think I could see Brendan going to West Ham before a kind of Wolves, to be honest with you. Might be totally wrong, might be absolutely miles away, but I just don't see that fit at this moment in time, guys.
But you do think maybe a return to the Premier League could be on the cards at some point? Brendan Rodgers would be up for that, Ali?
I don't think there's any doubt about that, Olivia. I really do. I think that's he's obviously he looked as though he would. I'm loath to use the term lost interest, but he certainly didn't look happy in his latter stages at Celtic. So I would imagine he'll go away, recharge your batteries, and when the time comes round about the turn of the new year, as often it does, 1 or 2 jobs will come up.
Okay, what about Gary O'Neill, Jeff? In line for potentially a return to Wolves?
Why? Why would he go back? Seriously. He's had a pretty bad experience there, ultimately. Yeah. He's had a bad experience. The fans were giving him unmerciful stick by the end. Look, I thought he did a really good job there. I've got a lot of time for Gary O'Neill. I think he's more likely to end up as the Southampton manager than he is at the Wolves manager. But, I just don't see it. Look, we keep talking about managers going back and Russell Martin's one of the favourites for the Southampton job. Goodness sake.
They say never go back to an ex. They say never go back to an ex.
I think in this case it's good advice. And I don't know Gary at all. I mean, I don't know Gary at all, but I think he would think twice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, mate. I thought he did a good job at Wolves, but it would baffle me for both parties, actually, if that move happened. Even from Wolves' point of view, I'm not sure it's ideal going back. I think they've got to look somewhere new and go somewhere fresh. And I would think the same for Gary, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, I think, who does go to Wolves after Vitor Pereira got sacked. Now, on the back page of The Sun, your Eds aren't right. Eddie Howe accused his Newcastle team of being mentally weak after another away day disaster. I mean, I watched the game and I thought West Ham were by far and away the better team, comfortably. Yeah. What do you make of that from Eddie Howe there, Ali? Because mentally weak, that's quite a big statement to make, isn't it? And quite worrying if Eddie Howe thinks that.
It is, and obviously I watched. I only saw the highlights. I was watching the Rangers game, so I saw the highlights, and it wasn't a good performance. It really was far from it. The only thing you would say is I think they hit the post right. West Ham hit the post immediately and then lost the goal. You think to yourself, "Oh, here we go. It's going to be another tale of woe for West Ham," but it wasn't. Far from it. You obviously have to think long and hard before you make a criticism of your team and your dressing room like that. But as I said, it'd be interesting to hear Newcastle fans' opinions. But from the evidence from what I saw, it looked as though to me it's a fair comment, actually, to tell you the truth.
Well, here's one Newcastle fan's opinion straight away then, Coisty. Rich, who's a Newcastle fan, says, Newcastle, we were so poor yesterday, not for the first time this season. Eddie Howe needs to stop being loyal to people like Gordon, Byrne, Pope and Joe Linton have been poor and all make mistakes. If Eddie doesn't start being ruthless, he'll be the next manager sacked, as the owners and the club should be around the European places. He set expectations and he's not keeping up with them. We need a massive performance, not only on Wednesday, but away to Brentford on Sunday. So, and I've had quite a few messages over the weekend from Newcastle fans who've been critical of the team, but they've also been critical of Eddie as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's quite savage. I feel like talking about Eddie Howe being replaced, I think, is a bit wild, Ali.
Oh, I mean, it's miles away. I think he has done and is doing a fantastic job. I understand the frustrations, obviously, and he'll be as frustrated as MD. But come on, I mean, Newcastle, he won them a trophy, Champions League football. We're 10 games into the season. Newcastle will be fine. They will be absolutely fine. My only concern was the one they had last time they got in the Champions League. And is the squad big enough for it? But I'd certainly think the squad's bigger and better than it was even last season. So, listen, I think everybody calm down. Eddie will be absolutely fine.
I mean, they looked shattered, didn't they? They looked so jaded. He made 3 substitutions at half-time. And he wasn't afraid either, because he took Anthony Gordon off, he took Voldemada off, and the effect, nil. They were probably worse in the second half than they were in the first half. So, look, Eddie's got a lot of credit in the bank, bank. So he's not going to be going anywhere. Maybe I should be. I mentioned Lulu, Coisty. I've done her a disservice.
77.
Jimmy from Glasgow has just said Lulu's nowhere near 80. Check it out, lads. 77. Apologies due. I apologise as well. The only good thing about it is, Jimmy, is that I think I can guarantee you she's not listening.
Jeff, I swear to God, I've got it on my phone here. Yeah. And I've written it down on my page. It says I need to dig him up immediately about Lulu's age.
That's going to make her want to shout.
No, stop it.
Brilliant.
Stop it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, on that note, you can go. Thanks, Olivia. That was a look at today's back pages with Tesco Mobile for Business. Up next, we'll be talking to Arsenal fan and podcaster Harry Symeou about whether he thinks the title is already in the bag.